Your hand is already moving. You saw the dog. You didn't decide anything. The fingers reached out on their own, palm open, curling toward soft fur before a single conscious thought had time to form. You do it to cats. You do it to a baby's cheek, to a friend's new sweater, to a smooth stone you pick off the ground for no reason you could name. For most of your life, you've treated this as a quirk, a small, harmless reflex. Something you do without ever asking why. But this reflex is older than language. It is older than fire. It is wired into a layer of your nervous system that was already ancient when the first humans walked out across the savannah, and it is doing something far more important than you have ever realized. Here is the part that should stop you. Right now, in the most connected era in human history, scientists have started using a strange phrase, touch starvation. It describes a measurable drop in the physical contact human beings actually receive. You can have 1,000 followers and go a week without being touched once, and your body keeps count. So why does your hand reach out? Why do you need to pet everything? Start with the skin itself. Buried in the hairy skin all over your body is a special class of nerve fiber. Scientists call them C-tactile afferents. And you can forget that name in a second, because all you need to know is what they do. They are nerves that exist for one purpose: not to feel pain, not to register pressure or heat or the edge of a table. They exist to feel gentle, slow stroking, and almost nothing else. The neuroscientist Francis McGlone has spent decades studying these fibers. What he found is strange and quietly beautiful. These nerves fire most strongly when skin is stroked at one very specific speed, roughly the pace of a slow, affectionate caress. Stroke faster and the signal fades. Stroke slower and it fades too. The response peaks at the exact tempo of a parent soothing a child or one hand smoothing the fur of an animal. And the signal they send doesn't travel to the part of the brain that maps ordinary touch. It travels to a deeper region called the insula, an area tied to emotion and to the felt sense of your own body, which means this kind of touch is processed less like information and more like a feeling. Think about what that implies. Your body did not grow a dedicated sensory system for affectionate touch by accident. Evolution does not build expensive machinery for things that don't matter. You carry a nerve network whose entire job is to register tenderness, which can only mean that tenderness was, at some point, a matter of survival. It was. In the late 1950s, a psychologist named Harry Harlow ran an experiment that changed how we understand love itself. He raised infant monkeys with two artificial mothers. One was made of bare wire, but held a bottle of milk. The other offered no food at all. It was simply wrapped in soft cloth. Cold logic says the babies should have bonded with the one that fed them. They didn't. The infant monkeys clung to the cloth mother almost around the clock, crossing to the wire one only long enough to feed, then rushing straight back to softness. When something frightened them, they didn't run toward food. They ran toward the cloth and pressed themselves into it. Harlow called what they were chasing contact comfort. Food kept them alive. But softness was what they reached for when the world turned dangerous. You are running the same program. You always have been. Now widen the lens, because touch was never only about comfort. For your ancestors, it was the original social technology. Watch any troop of monkeys or apes for an afternoon, and you will see them spend hours grooming one another, combing through fur, picking through skin, stroking, smoothing, again and again. For a long time, people assumed this was just hygiene, a way to stay clean. The anthropologist Robin Dunbar showed it was something far bigger. Grooming, he argued, is how primates build their alliances and hold them together. The simple act of touching another body releases a wave of calming chemistry in both the one doing the grooming and the one being groomed. It says, "Without a single word, you are safe with me." Then Dunbar pushed the idea somewhere that sounds almost impossible. He proposed that as human ancestors began living in larger and larger groups, there were no longer enough hours in the day to physically groom everyone you needed to stay bonded to. So a new tool emerged to do the same job from a distance. That tool was language. In his view, conversation is grooming carried on by other means. The gossip and the laughter and the easy small talk. A way of stroking one another with sound when there are simply too many of us to stroke with hands. So the urge in your fingers and the words in your mouth may be two branches of the same ancient root. Both exist to deliver one message. I am here. You are not alone. Let's reconstruct a scene you have never lived, but that your body still seems to remember. It is dusk, somewhere on an open landscape tens of thousands of years ago. The orange light is dying along the horizon. Your small band settles in close against the cold and the dark, and the dangers in that dark are not imaginary. There is no real separation between people here. Bodies lean against bodies. A mother smooths her child's hair without thinking. Two old friends sit back to back, sharing warmth. Someone runs their fingers slowly along another's arm, half asleep, and neither of them treats it as anything at all, because to them it is as ordinary as breathing. Every one of those touches is doing work. It is slowing heart rates. It is quieting the nervous system. It is telling each brain in that circle that it belongs to something larger than itself, and in that world, belonging was the only thing standing between a single, fragile human and a night that would happily swallow them whole if they were alone. That is the inheritance sitting in your hand right now. And here is the twist that reframes the whole thing. When you pet a dog, you are not doing something new, or modern, or trivial. You are taking a behavior that evolved to bond you to other human beings, and you are running it on another species entirely. The grooming software is ancient. Only the target has changed. In 2015, a research team led by Takefumi Kikusui in Japan found that when humans and dogs simply gaze into each other's eyes, both of them release oxytocin, the very same bonding chemical that surges between a mother and her newborn. We did not just tame the wolf. We slotted it into the place in our hearts that was built for grooming partners, and the animal slotted us into the same place in its own. That stone you picked up off the path. That sweater you couldn't stop running between your fingers. The cat that flops its full weight against you. Your hand is not being random. It is searching, constantly and quietly, for the soft, the warm, the living, because for nearly the entire span of human existence, soft and warm and close was the exact line between safe and dead, which carries us straight back to that strange modern phrase, touch starvation. The psychologist Tiffany Field founded an entire research institute devoted to nothing but touch, and decades of her work point at an uncomfortable truth. Human beings who go without physical contact do not merely feel a little lonely. Their bodies change, more stress chemistry, poorer sleep, a whole system running as though under low, constant threat. You evolved fully expecting to be held and leaned on and groomed every single day of your life. Then your species built a world of private rooms, careful personal space, and glowing screens that carry your voice everywhere, but never carry your hands. So look again at the small things you do. You need a pet until it grumbles. You hug a pillow in your sleep. You reach for someone's hand in the dark before you are even awake enough to choose it. You stroke the soft thing on the shelf and put it down and walk away, faintly puzzled at yourself. You are not being childish. You are a creature whose nervous system was tuned, across millions of years, to a frequency the modern world almost never plays anymore. And your hand is doing the only thing it knows how to do. It is reaching out, trying to find that frequency again. There is one final layer, and it explains the babies and the puppies and the round, big-eyed things you helplessly melt over. Decades ago, the naturalist Konrad Lorenz described what he called the baby schema, a specific set of features, a large head, oversized eyes, round, soft cheeks, that automatically trips the urge to nurture in nearly every human who lays eyes on them. It is why a kitten disarms you in half a second. It is why your voice changes pitch without permission. Your caregiving instinct is so strong, so deeply baked into you, that almost anything wearing the costume of helplessness can reach in and switch it on. You are not a person who simply happens to like soft things. You are the descendant of an unbroken line of people who survived precisely because they could not stop reaching for one another. So the next time you catch your hand drifting toward fur, or a cheek, or a warm shoulder, don't correct it. That small reflex carried your ancestors through the cold and the dark for 300,000 years. Your hand is already moving. It always was. It is the oldest part of you, still trying to say the one thing it has always said, I am here, and so are you.